Can you put me back on?
Jimmy, the Colorado Avalanche had a couple of rough ones. Game 3, Game 2
Am I back in?
Yeah, you're back in here.
I'm not on the screen.
There you are. You're on our side.
All right,
yeah.
There we
You're
go.
good. You're good. So looking at this, so my first question to you. So Dallas has kind of had the edge of the last 2 games. What can Colorado do tonight to avoid the 3-1 series deficit?
I don't know what it's been the last few games, but like Game 2 in Dallas and Game 3 in Colorado, nobody's been able to handle a puck, which is strange for a professional hockey team. But it feels like every time the Avalanche go for something, there's a grenade on the other end of their stick, and it just blows up in their face. And Dallas, to their credit, takes advantage of every mistake. There's no reason we should have gone into. Now I'm switching into Game 3, and this is why I'm such a fanatic, because I just meld them all together. There was no reason in Game 3 we go down 1-0 at the end of the first period, other than the fact we have bad exchanges. We can't get a puck out of our zone because we can't hold on to anything. And they take advantage and wind up scoring a cheap one at the end of the first and totally sapped all the momentum out of your home building. Like, there's so many fixable errors, and they did those things in Game 1 after they went down 3-0. But I just don't understand why this team, like, we keep seeing glimpses that they're probably close to. They're definitely not as talented because that 2022 team was special, but like they're somewhat close. That 2022 team was consistent, and we got the same performance every single night. And sometimes the other teams were better, but this Avalanche team, it feels, I don't think that we've run up against a team that's better than us, but we've made so many bad mistakes in a lot of our games throughout this playoffs. Like, coming back from 3-4+ goals is cute in the regular season. It's what I used to say about the Panthers, but it's not sustainable, and you lose playoff games that way.
Yeah. It's been, I was watching it was a Game 2, I think it was the other night, and Dallas said was it 3-1 lead, 4-1 lead.
Yeah, it was a 3. Right? It was 3-1, and then they scored one, make it 4-1, and then all of a sudden we go back and make it a 4-3 game at the end of it and have empty net situations. Like, that's the dumbest thing about being a fan of this team, is like we can take over so easily if we want to. And we used to do that whenever we wanted to, and now it's kind of like if somebody doesn't feel right, there's a weird vibe in the room, and it's been the captain not being there for the last 2 seasons. And yeah, he can be in the dressing room. It's different. If Ryan O'Reilly's not on the ice for the Blues in 2019, they don't win their cup. If the captain does not play for you and has not been consistently playing for you and has not been able to establish this tone, plus you bring in like 3-4 guys at the trade deadline, like, how long until this team cracks mentally? And that's the worst place to be as a sports fan, because if you have to worry about the play on the ice, professionals can fix that. You have to worry about the play off the ice. There are professionals that can fix that, but that takes a lot longer and it's a lot more money.
Right.
And I don't want to make it sound like I'm totally pessimistic, like I think the series is over. These are fixable mistakes, but like I'm saying, the fixable part of, like, the easy part to fix is the strategy in the hockey. Like, get pucks deep and make their 5 defensemen that they're trying to play with race back and forth to the goal line and the blue line. You can do those kinds of things to, like, put things on your advantage, especially when you're playing at elevation. We didn't get a single puck deep the other night. So why are we all of a sudden going away from that strategy? I don't think that makes a whole lot of sense. And maybe it's just because we can't do it. Like, I've seen so many examples of teams that the Avalanche should be able to beat. They just gum up the neutral zone, and all of that speed and all of that talent just doesn't make it through. Yeah. They don't. They used to have. I mean, they had that sandpaper a couple of years ago. I thought Val was going to be somewhat close to that because of the way he's been playing. There's guys that can produce in this lineup. It's just a matter of somebody stepping up, and it doesn't always have to be McKinnon. Like, you can't rely to always be McKinnon, but somebody has to step up and drop the hammer on the table and say, this is what needs to happen, and this is how we need to play out the rest of the playoffs. Whether we lose because now we put ourselves in a deficit or not, we at least need to play Colorado Avalanche hockey, because a good majority of you guys are on free agent deals. We have to decide who we're keeping around. Like, Sean Walker was a guy that I wanted to sign for whatever he wanted a couple weeks ago. And I would say that there's a little bit more discussion. Like
one downfall now, I mean, Brandon just sent me the little thing about Nichushkin being suspended for the next 6 months for his reported failed drug test. So he's out the remainder of the Stanley Cup playoffs as well. How big of a hit is that going to have?
I'm not even necessarily worried about it for this season. It's now we sunk $8 million into a guy that unfortunately waited till he was paid that much money to prove he's not a reliable teammate.
Yeah.
Talented beyond anything. I've given him the benefit of the doubt, and I thought going through the substance abuse program this year and the way he came back seemed like things were moving in a positive direction, and obviously you only get to see so much. It happens. I mean, all professional athletes at some level are trying to figure out a way to circumvent rules. So I'm not going to stand up and say that he's a horrible person and a disgrace. As a person who's played sports and been in locker rooms and like built bonds with people.
Yeah.
If I was in the Avalanche dressing room, I mean, it could be a thing that rallies them, because this was supposed to be a guy that was your leader and he was the leading scorer. Like, it was the joke a few weeks last week when we had the Stars podcast on. Val scoring at like it's a goal a game, and it's honestly closer to a goal and a half a game.
Yeah.
If I'm a player in the Avalanche dressing room, like the fact that Val cares so little for me, that he went through all of these steps and he's just never available when we need them. You can be the greatest player on the ice, but if you're not available, you're nothing. You're just another name on the list.
Yeah. Real quick score update, the third. Last question on the Avalanche, Jimmy. Who's got to step up tonight? Who's got to be that guy for the Avalanche to get a win?
I am going to say Casey Middlestat, because that's a guy. I feel like he's somebody that I could see fitting into the culture of what the Avalanche want in their locker room. He's young enough. He's already said it's a totally different experience being a professional hockey player in Colorado compared to being a professional hockey player in Buffalo. Like, he sweats in practice. He plays really well with Bednar, and he brings some things. Like, not everybody has to be a speed demon, and he's not one. He's not necessarily the fastest guy out there. Watching him in person, I will say he's a magician and like the biggest bully. When he gets the puck, he's like your older brother, and he's just holding you at an arm's length the entire time. Like, no. But hey, Mom said it's my turn to. No, I'm not letting you. You can't play with this. It's mine. I don't want you to touch this. This is my puck, and I'm going to send it over to Nathan MacKinnon. Like, who better to play on a line with Nathan MacKinnon than Casey Middlestat, a guy who keeps the puck, can put it deep in your zone near the goal line, and then find you on an open seam pass. Like, that's a guy that if he's going to take the step, and if we're going to re-sign him, like I do want them to do, I want to see him take a step forward, because now we need another role to be filled. We have a big 6'4" Russian hole in our lineup that was producing everything that you wanted. And I did not know that before. Like, Brandon sent that. I don't know if you had that beforehand and you just didn't tell.
Just dropped.
It just dropped at 7:45.
How badly like last year it was Ukrainian women, and now this year it's PEDs.
Yeah,
it sucks.
That's a rough one. Rough loss there for the Avalanche going into the.
I will say, I just want to put this out there before anything does go wrong. If my teams don't move on, I am fully adopting my Italian New York heritage. Like, I'm full Knicks, full Rangers, all the rest of the way.
Oh man.
Because this year has been like such an effort year with everything that's gone wrong with some of these teams. Like, I think back to a couple years ago, and we talked about it recently, where the Avs and Nuggets went on an 8-day stretch where they both got eliminated from the playoffs.
Yeah.
Like, if something like that catastrophic happens again, just to cope with it for my mental health, I'm going full Bronx. I'll bing bong my way all to the NBA Finals, and hopefully they make it there, and I'll be a part of the Rempire State Building. I'll be a part of the Rempire Mafia over there. I'll be full MSG. That's what I'm going if the Avalanche and Nuggets don't make it past.
Really, I know. So excited. Any final questions for Jimmy? Anybody?
No, not here, man. Wishing you the best of luck. We'll see what happens.
We said it at the beginning of the playoffs. We want both teams to do what's thought of as unthinkable. Like, we want it to be as audacious as possible because people do not know. Like, I'm a teacher, so I got the summer off, and if that happens, like if the impossible does happen with both teams, and I'm being very purposeful in avoiding what I'm thinking about, if that does happen, I will make Ovechkin's bender after the Stanley Cup parade look like child's play. I may run around like the city of Denver, just like Aaron Gordon last year when he's running home from the NBA Finals. Just it's October, Mr. Pilato. Why do you still have your shirt off? Like, things happened over the summer. It was a pretty awesome summer.
Championships. That's all. It's just
Did you just make the social media like active so you can watch this at the same time? Live feeds.
Oh, well.
That
I
would be
don't.
fun.
It may just have to be like me with a block over my face, but on our podcast channel, like how when other teachers post on social media and they put the blocks over their students' face, I'll have to put it over my face. Like, oh, I can kind of make out who that is, and I know I'll go voice this guy's or two. How about that? Then just nobody can find this episode, and then I'll be golden.
Yeah,
there you go. I like it.
That'll work. That'll work.
Mhm.
All right, no more.